From the most watched station in Central Texas, this is KWTX News 10.
A convicted murderer's last shot at freedom. Joe Bryan was found guilty of his wife's murder over 3 decades ago, but now the key evidence in that case has been found to be flawed. The former Clifton principal is now seeking a retrial. Today marks the final day of that hearing, and the decision for a new trial could come down this afternoon. We have been following the story closely since 1985. News 10's John Carroll has been tracking this case since day one. He is joining us now live from Comanche, where that hearing is taking place. So, John, tell us what you've learned today.
Well, Julie, you're exactly right. I was actually on the air in 1985 when the murder occurred and then when the trial, and he was convicted.
From the most watched station in Central Texas, this is KWTX News 10.
Right now, a jury is deliberating the fate of a Bell County Justice of the Peace on trial for setting a $4 billion bond.
That's right. Let's get right to News 10's Brandon Hamilton. He is in Belton right now, where the jury is deciding Claudia Brown's fate. Brandon?
Hey, Tara and Justin, that is correct. Right now, the fate of Judge Claudia Brown is in the hand of those 12 jurors.
From the most watched station in Central Texas, this is KWTX News 10.
The man at the center of a double murder investigation is back behind bars on more than $1 million bond. This latest news coming exactly a month after Jenna Scott and Michael Swearingen of Temple went missing. Cedric Marks was brought back to Bell County after escaping in Conroe yesterday morning.
He left several law enforcement agencies searching the area for 9 hours. And now we're getting a look at some video while he was on the run. Take a look at this. This is surveillance video from a restaurant near where he was found. You can see Marks cross the top of your screen near that blue dumpster. He was found a few hours later in a neighborhood.
You can see the orange pants there and the dark jacket. Well, Marks is also facing several other charges now, along with the burglary charge last year connected to Jenna Scott's home. The families of Jenna Scott and Michael Swearingen are meeting with officials in the district attorney's office. When we spoke with them yesterday during the height of the manhunt for Marks, both said they were concerned for their own safety.
And all day we have put several reporters on this story trying to assess the murder affidavit that is expected to lay out what police believe happened to the two friends before their murders last month. But we do know Mark's bond is set at more than $1.7 million now.
We also know Marks was in a private transport company's custody when he escaped yesterday.
He'd been on his way back to Bell County from Michigan since January 31st. And News 10's John Carroll is in Taylor tonight, where that company is located. John, what have you learned?
Well, very little, but we did learn some things that are eye-opening. Standing in front of this Texas Prisoner Transport Services right here in Taylor, Texas, we can tell you one thing. We staked it out for hours and hours. The lights inside the building were off. There was no movement. We did get 2 phone calls through to the office, and simply they told us they had nothing to say. We asked them, can you tell us how in the world did Cedric Marks get away? And they said, we have no comment. Then in the last 30 minutes, a man drove in with a white van, just like the one Cedric Marks escaped from yesterday, and he himself said he had nothing to say. Now, gates to the small building have been closed all day, and the lights inside have remained off. But moments ago, 4 employees, as we told you, first emerged, then 3 others, and the question we continue to ask, how did Marks escape? There was no response. Simply, we refer you to the company's website. All detainees, it says, and prisoners moved by TPTS transportation specialists are moved in full restraints, waist chains, leg irons, and handcuffs. They said we interconnect prisoners sometime for additional security. All transportation specialists are fully trained on the appropriate use of traditional metal restraints. That's from the company. Now, it's still not known what kind of shackles or restraints Mark had and what he had on when he was discovered hiding in that trash can in Conroe. That was just blocks away from where he had walked away at McDonald's. I did contact several sheriff officers and local sheriffs in McLennan County, Bell County. We also contacted one out in west and east of Central Texas, and several of them said they have used TPTS to transport prisoners, but one sheriff told me, and he asked me to use this word twice, we would never transport a high-risk inmate like this with a transport company. And he said it again, we would never have done anything like that. Waco Police Patrick Swanton tells us Waco Police do not use transport companies. So we'll continue to ask the question until we get some answers. How was he shackled down? Reporting live in Taylor, John Carroll, KWTX News 10.
From the most watched station in Central Texas, this is KWTX News 10.
At this point, there is no threat to our community, ongoing threat, other than we have a pretty violent criminal out here that has just shot somebody at the parking lot behind us.
Those words from Waco Police Sergeant Patrick Swanton after shots ring out near the Waco Red Lobster just this afternoon. News 10 was first on the scene.
What exactly went down in that parking lot and what witnesses are saying right now on KWTX News 10 at 5.
A man is shot outside that restaurant in broad daylight. Tonight, he remains in the hospital with significant injuries. Good afternoon, Central Texas. I'm Tara Mergener.
And I'm Justin Early. The shooting unfolded just after 11 a.m. near the Richland Mall. Tonight, we have team coverage. Both News 10's John Carroll and Keisha Lopez are at the scene near the Red Lobster in Waco right now. We'll start with you, John, and you were first on the scene. What have you learned tonight?
Well, what we know right now, Justin, is that Waco police are now hours into their investigation into the shooting here on the parking lot at Red Lobster's restaurant here right on the edge of Richland Mall. And the two suspects remain at large in connection with that shooting today. Now, what we can tell you is that little is being shared about a possible motive, but it's clear one man is fighting for his life as he was rushed from the scene by this ambulance. He was shot by another man who exited his truck and opened fire on the victim driving the little red Hyundai that then crashed into a parked car in the restaurant's parking lot. The suspect jumped back into a truck and fled. Another man was spotted in the getaway truck with him. The restaurant went immediately on lockdown as police arrived to find the man critically injured.
What we do know at this point is this. About 11:18, we got the initial call. When officers got here, we were notified by witnesses that it was a shooting. We have one victim that was in a vehicle that appears to have a gunshot wound, and that there are possibly two suspects in a white pickup truck. That's about all we know.
There was just a handful of clients inside the Red Lobster when the shooting happened, and just a few cars also in the parking lot. Some perimeter stores at the Richland Mall right behind us kept their employees in for a while as the police had the crime scene cordoned off for hours as their crime lab techs examined the crime scene and the car where the victim was found. Still no latest report on his condition or anywhere the whereabouts of the two suspects. Reporting live in Waco, John Carroll, KWTX News 10.
Thank you, John. This is not the first shooting to occur near the Richland Mall.
A shooting in March 2016 outside the BJ's Brewhouse right next door to the Red Lobster left a teen injured. DeAndre DeGrates was shot twice in the lower back after walking out of the restaurant to meet someone in the parking lot. Police say that shooting was drug-related.
And now the cause of today's shooting remains under investigation this evening. Now, we first brought this to you on our News 10 app. Continuing our coverage of today's shooting is News 10's Keisha Lopez. Keisha, you spoke with some of the witnesses. What did they tell you?
That's right. A number of people came to the scene earlier today in disbelief at what had happened right here at the Red Lobster here in Waco. Now, word of the shooting spread throughout the community. Those who know the victim and his family were seen very emotional after learning the victim was in his car when he was ambushed in the Red Lobster parking lot. Many of them left the scene immediately and then rushed to Hillcrest Hospital. They believe the victim was shot in the head, but police have not released that to us. We did talk to a few people who remained behind to watch police work.
He's a important person to a lot of people, and you know this could definitely tear a lot of hearts apart. I just hope everything gets better and things get better for the city because it's not looking good right now. We need to come together.
No one knows exactly what happened, and that's part of what makes this shooting event so terrifying. Back out here live, as John said, police still have not released the victim's name or his condition. What we do know is that those who know him say that they are praying for him and his family. Of course, John Carroll and I are live here on the scene. We will continue to cover the story, and we'll bring you an update tonight at 6. Live in Waco, Keisha Lopez, KWTX News 10.
Keisha, thank you. And for more on this developing story, download our KWTX app. You can also always check out our website, kwtx.com, and our social media platforms.